Thank you so much, Mette. And first of all, let me thank you for being such a wonderful host here in the beautiful city of Copenhagen. We really enjoy it. And I want to express my solidarity with the member states whose airspace has been violated. Poland, Romania, Estonia, and of course, most recently, Denmark. These violations are part of hybrid war tactics. And these are threats that demand a strong and determined reaction and answer from Europe, because every European citizen and every square centimeter in Europe has to be safe. So we must provide the strongest of deterrence at scale and at speed. And that was the focus of our discussions today. There is a clear sense of urgency because preserving peace has always been a core task of the European Union. The good news is that the wheels are already in motion. We have an investment surge in our common defense that is on its way. You know, the SAFE instrument, it is successful. It's 150 billion euros and it's a case in point, oversubscribed. Now we need a precise pan-European plan, how to fill the capability gaps and how to move forward. And indeed, this is the intention of the scoping paper we discussed today. Let me highlight a few points out of the scoping paper. The first is on capabilities. Every member state has one single set of forces. And this single set of forces is assigned to different missions. Perhaps a NATO mission or an EU mission or a mission for the United Nations, sometimes coalition of the willing. But from my words, you understand already that of utmost importance is that these armed forces are interoperable, that the capabilities are interoperable. Otherwise, you cannot send in the different missions, the different types of troops. And therefore, in close cooperation with NATO, we're working here on interoperability of capabilities that we want to have. Our roadmap till 2030 will define not only the common objectives, very important, but also very concrete milestones, because it is a matter of time and only what gets measured gets done. Then there was a point that we have discussed for each critical capability to create so-called capability coalitions with a lead nation so that we can move forward faster at the right scale and with the necessary speed. A second point was the discussion on the flagships. And indeed here I want to highlight the Eastern Flank Watch. This project aims to counter the full spectrum of threats at our eastern borders. A core element of these will be the so-called drone wall. It is basically an anti-drone system that is able to do swift detection, interception, and of course, if necessary, neutralization. Here we draw a lot on Ukraine's expertise, of course, and therefore we must move forward rapidly together with Ukraine and NATO. The third element I want to highlight is the defense industrial readiness that we need. We need a ramped up, resilient and innovative European defense industry. We have started our defense omnibus to simplify the procedures, to have more speed in the whole process. And this defense industry needs a strong ecosystem that is composed not only of industry, of course, but also tech startups. There was a broad discussion about the importance of startups and academia. All of them are essential. Because it's so important to have such an ecosystem, we propose to establish new tech alliances, where we then connect tech innovators with the defense users. So this is in a nutshell. It's much more. Some key elements of the scoping paper. And in 2 weeks, we will then present the full version to the European Council. My final point is on Ukraine. It's now 3 years and 7 months since Russia's full-scale invasion, and Ukraine continues to fiercely resist. At the same time, we see that Russia is under increasing economic pressure our sanctions are working. I give you some figures. If you look at the interest rates in Russia, they are at 17%. The inflation is well above 10%. At least 40% of the Russian budget is spent on defense this year. And if you look at Russia's GDP in the year 2024, it was 4.3%. It is projected to slow down to 0.9%. So this is the time to further increase the pressure on Russia. And to this end, we proposed a new approach of sanctions. We do not approach the sanctions anymore in incremental steps, but we present much more robust measures on energy, on financial services, and on trade, and that is the 19th package of sanctions that is on the table right now. Second, we need to provide military assistance to Ukraine, because if we continue to believe that Ukraine is our first line of defense, and this is the case, then we need to step up our military assistance to Ukraine. Concretely, we have agreed with Ukraine that a total of 2 billion euros will be spent on drones. This allows Ukraine to scale up its drone capacities, and it will allow the European Union to benefit from this technology. However, for a more structural solution for military support, more is necessary. And this is the reason why we have put forward the idea of the reparations loan. This reparations loan is based on the immobilized Russian assets. The loan would not be dispersed in one go, but in tranches, and tranches that are attached where conditions are attached. We will strengthen our own defense industry by that, by ensuring that part of the loan is used for procurement in Europe and with Europe. And very importantly is that there is no seizing of the assets. The Russian claim stays a Russian claim. Ukraine gets these loans, and Ukraine has to repay the loans if Russia is paying reparations, because the perpetrator must be held responsible. Thank you.